everybody, it's Jennifer from Ferdalump. This is our frequently asked question video. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for sending all the questions in. I'll start off by answering the ones that are most frequently asked. The first one being, why Ferdalump? And the answer is, it actually has nothing to do with Lane and nothing to do with Disney. It's just a nickname of mine and a handle that I've used online for years. It's basically just a nickname, Ferd, short for Jennifer, and the lump came in when I had mumps and was really sick, and my sister named me Ferdalump. People want to know how old is Lane, and right now she's 3 years old. She was born in October of 2011, and my husband and I were married for 15 years before Lane came along, and she's kind of turned our lives upside down in a wonderful, wonderful way. She is our only child, and I'd say never but she will probably remain our only child. We don't have any plans to bring any siblings into the fold as of right now. I have been sewing for Lane since before she was even born. She had her first mermaid costume when she was 12 days old, and her first Halloween costume before she was a month old. But I sewed several little outfits for her while I was pregnant. Also, she's only 38 inches tall, so as far as rides like Space Mountain and things, she's too little to ride anything like that as of right now. People want to know, do I make all of Lane's dresses? And the answer is yes, I do. I haven't purchased any from anyone else. Most of her dresses are made from upcycling, which is I go to thrift stores and yard sales, Goodwills, places like that, and I'll use anything I find that I can take apart and use for a dress. Sometimes it's bed sheets or shower curtains or a prom dress, a wedding dress, anything like that. Sometimes what I find at the thrift store dictates what I'm going to make. Like I found the crazy green sequin dress that just screamed Ariel to me, and so it turned into the tail. The same thing with Jane Porter's dress, the bright yellow tablecloth. But that's how I get a lot of the characters. Some people ask, where do you find your character fabric? A lot of times it's bed sheets, because you may not be able to find the fabric, but you can find the sheet, even if it's vintage. Occasionally I do buy fabric from the store. I go to Sewing Studio here in Orlando or Joann's. Early on, way in the beginning of our Instagram, and even before like Lane's first visits to Disney World, she wore a few store-bought dresses that her aunts, my sisters, bought for her. My one sister especially, who didn't have children, so she bought her several, like an Alice and a Minnie Mouse and I don't know, a few others. So some of her early Disney trips she wore store-bought, like Disney store dresses. So you might see some early pictures of those, but all of the dresses that are handmade or homemade or whatever are done by me. People ask how often we go to Disney, and the answer to that question is at least once a week. There for a while we were going 2-3 times a week, every weekend. But we just shake it up. Now that it's hot, we go probably once a week. But it just depends on our schedule and what's going on and things like that. People want to know, how do we get to go to Disney as often as we do? And the answer is simple. We live in Orlando, not too far from Disney World, and we have annual passes, and those are available to purchase for anybody. And basically for our family of 3 to go, we pay less a month than what we pay in cable, and they actually do have it that you can make monthly payments. One question we get asked a lot is, can I come up and talk to you if I see you at the parks or whatever? And the answer is yes, you can. We like to meet new people. Lane likes to meet new people. Feel free to introduce yourself. Feel free to say hello. We don't bite. But the only thing that I ask people to understand is that Lane is 3. She really doesn't understand the internet thing, and sometimes she gets hungry, sometimes she gets tired, sometimes she gets hot, and so she may not always be in the mood to pose for a picture. She's a great sport. I would say 98% of the time she's great about it, but she's a little girl and they get unpredictable at times. Do you like to take pictures with friends?
Yes.
Do you meet friends at Disney?
Yes!
You do! People often ask, how do we get to meet all of the characters? Well, we get to see so many characters, A, because we visit Disney a whole lot, and B, they're an attraction just like the rides and the other things that we do when we go to the parks, and some of them have fast passes, and some of them just pop up and you have to stand in line, and some of them are seasonal. They only come out for like the hard ticket parties or certain times of year and things like that. We follow the Disney blog and some other sites that give you information about characters. What I would recommend to anyone who is going to the parks specifically looking for characters is do some research beforehand and find out if your character that you want to see even meets. And some of them do every day, and you can get a times guide in the front of the parks, or you can go onto the My Disney Experience app and find out the times and the locations for your favorite characters. A lot of people want to know actually if I would sell dresses and can I make custom things for people. And I will say there is a movie called Hope Floats in which the character says this line about if you start to do something you love for money, there will come a time where you'll ask yourself, what did you ever love about it? And I sadly have experienced that with sewing. I created lots of costumes for lots of people and lots of dresses for special occasions. But when you have to do something for money, for me, it doesn't work for everybody, but for me, it took a lot of the creativity out of it. And I prefer the freedom of being able to sew whatever I want, whenever I want it. And I find Lane to be very inspiring. She's kind of my muse right now. I'm enjoying being a stay-at-home mom and just sharing my passion for sewing with Lane and just teaching her as much as I can for a 3-year-old child how to sew. She's got like a little pink sewing machine. She's got a table in my sewing room. I give her my scraps to play with, and so right now that's just where my passion lies, is creating for her and sharing that time with her as a mom. I have never worked for Disney World. My husband has never worked for Disney World. We have been fortunate enough to be asked by Disneyland and Disney World to do a short little video for their blogs. So we have had some experience with that, but we have never been employed by Disney World. Some people want to know what happens to Lane's dresses after she outgrows them. And oddly enough, she hasn't outgrown a whole lot of them. Her Jane dress I made like, I don't know, a year and a half ago or something, and it still fits her. I try to give them breathing room so that I can let them out or let them in. Oddly enough, lately I've had to take them in because she's gotten taller and thinner. She's kind of losing that toddler chub. There have been a couple that she's outgrown, 2 that I did sell. I sold the Captain America dress, and I sold a Padme Lake dress. And both of those were toddler size when she was like 18 months old. And I actually ended up remaking them both because I was sad that I sold them. And another reason I'm not so keen to just kind of flip them over is because a lot of the dresses to look the way that they do on Lane have a lot of undergarments. They have bustles, they have crinolines, they have hoop skirts, different things. And I use those for different dresses. So if I sold the dress without the undergarment, it's not going to look the same. So you would have to kind of have the proper undergarments, and not everybody has those at their beck and, and so basically I feel like if I couldn't sell the dress complete, it would be kind of foolish to sell it anyway. And there are some, like her Harley Quinn baby outfit was her very first Halloween costume, and before she was even a month old, and I'll keep that. Some people want to know, does Lane get hot and uncomfortable wearing the costumes, and does she ever put up a fight? She actually puts up a fight when we try to take the costumes off of her, believe it or not. I actually kind of want to videotape it sometimes because it'll be like 100 degrees and we're melting. And I'm thinking, this is child abuse. They're going to lock me up. And the child, please don't take it off, please. We try to keep her hydrated. We try to cut through the Emporium and go in air conditioning attractions. We use our fast passes, so we try to have, our strategic attack as far as, our time spent at the park. So we do our best to make her comfortable. And obviously, if she ever said, take it off, I would take it off. She has never one time ever asked to take a costume off. People always want to know, do we have a favorite costume? Lane's changes all the time. She tends to like the big dresses that she can twirl and swirl. I mean, she's a little girl and she likes that. She also seemed to really like her mermaid tail because she talked about that. She actually sat in our living room and wore it and watched TV for like an hour when I was just fitting her. She seemed to really enjoy that. She likes dressing up. She genuinely likes it. She likes to wear fancy shoes. She likes to wear fancy hats. She's very detail oriented. If something needs gloves or something needs an accessory, she'll be the first one to point it out to me. So she just generally likes it. So I can't say she's ever pinpointed a favorite. But I would say she tends to really like the full-wear ones with the crinolines and the hoops, or like the mermaid. Okay, people want to know what costumes are my favorite, and that changes all the time. I think like anybody creative, you can hear Lynn playing her piano in there, by the way. But a few that come to mind is the confectionery cast member uniform, the Rockford Peach outfit, her poinsettia dress that I made out of a Christmas tablecloth is one of my favorites. But other ones are kind of ones that I wanted to accomplish and I did, like Flower Maiden, which actually is probably the hardest. It's hard to say hardest because some of them, the hard comes in with trying to find the right fabric, whereas other ones, the hard comes into the actual sewing, and the Flower Maiden was a lot of work. But I found the fabrics readily, pretty easily. So, but my favorite always changes all the time. Some people want to know, how do I decide on which costume to make? And that just depends. Sometimes the fabric dictates it. Obviously, I'm a movie fan, and so there's certain costumes that I like that maybe Elaine doesn't know, like Titanic or Gone with the Wind or League of Their Own. But I do show her those movies. Maybe I can't show her the whole movie, but I certainly show her those parts with those costumes, so she does have a familiarity with them. And like Scarlett O'Hara's dress, when she saw that part, she told me, well, Mommy, I need a hat, because she's very detail oriented. And then, as you probably see in the video, she kind of even acts the role a little bit. She's quite the ham. Do you like to meet Flynn Rider?
No, he's not a character.
What is he?
She's a boyfriend. Bye, everybody.